Hi, my name is Vanessa Berger and I'm the database expert at ECO Institute for Ecology in Klagenfurt, Austria. I will guide you step by step through the S.M.A.R.T tools needed to maintain the standardized monitoring system for Ethiopian national parks developed by our company on behalf of the GIZ Biodiversity and Forestry Program. We consider the WWF developed S.M.A.R.T database as the suitable tool to collect and store data of the parks, and we customized it according to the needs of the Ethiopian monitoring system. Today, we have a look on the map tools in the S.M.A.R.T database, so how to configure our maps in S.M.A.R.T to get a meaningful report. So, now let's get started. I have opened my S.M.A.R.T already. So on the left side at the S.M.A.R.T, if you cannot see the map perspective already, you can click on this button to open it. So in here we can see we have already by default some layers in there. It's the management sector, the buffered management area, the conservation area boundary, the petrol segment and the administrative area. So if you haven't loaded the shapefiles already, you can do it later on. So let's have a look on the different buttons we have in the S.M.A.R.T map view. So at the bottom here you can see your coordinate system and also the zooming in there. So let's go to the button at the top. So here you can save your base map, then we can select and load a base map we have already saved. Then we can measure the distance from one to another waypoint, or just to get an overview what is the extent of our map. Then we can pan our map. With this we can zoom to a specific site on our map. Here we can zoom out and here we can zoom in. This button is to zoom to full extent of all layers so that we can get an overview of every layer, and this one is to add new layers to our base map. So now let's open our management sectors. Therefore we go to conservation area, then take define area boundaries. Here we can see we have already in there the conservation area boundary. So here we could clear or change the label. Now we want to add our management sectors. Therefore we click on load and to say OK. Now we go to See S.M.A.R.T data repository, parks data. In my case it's Gilberto Jura data. Then open the maps, and in here I have a shapefile which is called management areas. So I open it, and now I have to choose the reference to the naming. In my case, I only have the geom in there, so the geom is the polygon, then the zone, which is contains the name and an area. I choose zone, then say OK. In here now you can see there are 40 features in there, so we can close it. And now let's have a look on our management sectors. So I clicked right hand on the management sectors and choose zoom to layer. Now I can see my management sectors. Here everything is in quite the same color, so it's purple with the blue line out there. So at the end there should be our zones like we are used to. So let's change the color from our management sectors. To change our colors, we have again to right hand click on our management sectors, and now we choose to change style. here we can see it's our purple management sectors with the blue line. And now we're gonna change this from custom with one label to a map theme. So here on the left side we can see that there's the we can choose lines, then points. In our case we have polygons, then simple features, and the theme. Here we have a theme because we have more than one color. So we click on theme, and here you can see you can choose out of different color ramps for your management sector. I just click on one, and now we have to define our attribute. So it's not the FID, in our case it's the name. So click on name, and now we can see the label, and the value is course zone, intensive use zone, limited use zone, traditional use, community access zone, and the wilderness zone. In our case it's for classes, it's the break is unique value, and we can choose now the color we want to have in our map. So the opacity is now 50%. If you want to have 100% or a little bit less transparency, you can change this here for the management sectors. In our case it's okay to have 50%. Then we don't want some outlines in our case, but you can also choose a black, a white, or a custom outline. So the course zone we want to have in green, so we click on the basic color green and say OK. So the label course zone, it's okay. If you want to have a different name or a short name, abbreviation like C and SAT, then you can choose this here just for the label. For the intensive use zone, we took a red color, so click on the left side of the intensive use zone on the three dots and choose a red one. Then the limited use zone, it's a yellow. Then traditional use zone, tick the basic and OK, and the green one for the wilderness zone. In our case we want to have our polygons filled, so we choose the 100% opacity and say OK. So here we can see if the opacity is not 100% filled, and we click on the conservation area boundary, our colors are changing because we do not have 100% opacity for the conservation area boundary, and therefore the color underneath is changing. So let's have a look on our management sectors again. So we click on the right hand on the management sectors, and as we can see there are different opportunities, not only the change style, there is also the properties. So in here we could change our projection. So if you have loaded the shapefile with the wrong projection, you can change this in here, and then we can have a look if it's the data filter is included for the query later on. And here we can see our resources, the information. In our case it's now empty, but the summary, so what is the bound and if it's a feature type, and what are different columns which we have in our shapefile. So we click on cancel because we didn't change something. So now let's have a look again on the change style. So now we saved our theme, And here we can see for every class we have a rule. So in this rule, this is our course zone. If I click on course on the first one, we can see there we can change the border only for the course zone, and we can change the color and the opacity. So if we don't like to have a opacity of 100%, we can change this here. In our case now we want to add some labels, so we click on labels, enable disable labeling, and it's not a dummy, we choose the name. A black font is okay, we do not need the rotation now. To just click on apply, maybe we could choose a halo, so just a gray halo on our color, and click on apply, and let's have if our cursor is now there. So this we also take for the other one, so enable the labeling, take the name, and for the halo we choose the gray one, and then apply, click on the rule 3, also here enable the labeling, name, and the halo. We do this for every class in here. And now we can save our changes. In this case, we could save the style to not new style, it's the management sector style. Okay, so let's have a look. So in our case, we can see I have chosen for the core zone another halo color, therefore the core zone it's different. So we go back in my case on change style, and for the rule 1 I took the darker label so that we have the same for everyone. So now we should save this as our base map. So we click here on the save base map and choose create a new base map. In our case it's the management sector map, and save. So now we could also load the base map later on or next time when we open our S.M.A.R.T. Every map should contain map decorations. Therefore, we go on the right top on the add layer, add teacher button and click on map decoration. Then go to next, and now we can choose the legend, a scale bar, a north arrow, and yeah, you can also choose the reticule or a one-to-one map scale, but for a standard map there should be the legend, the scale bar, and a north arrow. So in our case we just use this and go to finish. Now we can see our management sectors have different zones. It's the core zone, the intensive use zone, limited use zone, traditional use zone, and wilderness zone. And also there are the layers buffered management area, patrol sectors, and administrative area. We do not have some information in our map, so we can also disable these layers. So just click on disable, and also for the patrol sectors and the buffered, and maybe we can take the conservation area boundary. So here you can see you can select what information you want to have in your legend by enable and disabling of the layers. So let's have a look on our north arrow. So the north arrow and our scale bar is at the same position. So let's have a look on the north arrow. We click right hand on the north arrow and take change style. Here we can choose if the north arrow is on the left side, the center, or on the right. In our case, just click on right, and also if he's on the top, the middle, and on the bottom. So okay, and also let's have a look on the change style options for the scale bar. Here we can also change the alignment, same as we did before for the north arrow, and now we can also change the height and the width of the arrow, the scale bar. In our case, it's quite okay, so just click on OK. And for our legend, there we can change the font. So if we do not want to have a black color, if it's just gray, we can do it here. Also background color and the size of the legend. And here's the location and the funding. So just click on OK. And now again, let's save the base map, because if we later on use this base map for our queries and the reporting later on, we should have these decorations in there already. Click on save base map, then we override an existing base map. In our case, it's the management sector map, and save and say OK. And the base map was saved successfully. If we now put the conservation area boundary at the top layer, you can see that the colors of our management sectors are changing because of the opacity of the conservation area boundary. In this case, I would choose just an outline for our boundary. Therefore, click right hand on the conservation area boundary, on change style. Now you can see here there is a color which has an outline and is filled. So now the outline, for me, I would change the color, so I would took a blue one, and the width I would give 2 points. For the fill, I enable the fill color. So now we have just the outline, so we can save this new color as our conservation area boundary, say OK, and again OK. Now you can see there's only the outline of the conservation area boundary. Don't forget to save this base map. Here, for me it's OK to save it as the management sectors for map, because now we only have the outline with blue in there. And save. And the base map was saved successfully. For the next step, we will download a satellite image for our base map. So we open the S.M.A.R.T base map utility. Please give in this link to your browser. So now we have to search for our base map longitude range, the minimum and the maximum, and also the base map latitude range. So we go back to our S.M.A.R.T, and now we click on the conservation area boundary right hand and choose properties. In the properties, in the summary, there are the bounds. So now we need these colors for our base map. In my case, I would choose a smaller size and give in the minimum for the longitude the maximum for the longitude, the minimum for the latitude, and also the maximum for the latitude. And now let's have a look on our preview. In my case, I know the satellite image already, and so I know this is the right map. Now I download once the satellite image, so download, and we save this to S.M.A.R.T and maps. Then I also took the topographic map and again click on download. And also here save. In my case, both of them are in my download file, and so I just open the download file, copy both files and go to S.M.A.R.T data repository, parks data, temperature data, maps. In here I copy it to the TIFF folder and put both zip data in there. It is important to unzip both, so click on the satellite right hand. I choose the 7 zip, do unzip. In my case here it's this one, and say OK. And we also unzip the topographic map. Let's have a look in both files, for both folders. So in here there is the projection and also a GeoGF. If we double click on it, we can see that this is an image we downloaded from Google. So now we are going back to our S.M.A.R.T database and start to import the file. So if we are back in S.M.A.R.T, we are searching for the add layer button. Now we add a file, so double click on files, and now we are searching for our new orthophotos. So in my case it's S.M.A.R.T data repository, parks data, temperature data, maps, TIFF, and now I choose the satellite image and click on open. And here it is. We also add now the topographic map, so click again on add data, files, and now we go back to the TIFF and choose the topographic map and open. Now we have both of them in there. Because the satellite image is above, we cannot see the topographic map. So if we disable the satellite image, we can see now the topographic map in the background. If we now disable also the management sectors, we have here our outline, so the conservation area boundary and a topographic map. We can also choose this for the satellite image. If you have other shapefiles, it would be good also to add them to this map, because it's very important to know where are our roads, where is the outpost, where is the headquarter, what is the main river, and so on. So just add every shapefile you have and which is helpful to plan your patrols, your transects for wildlife, and to get a better overview where is the main area where we have violation. So now we save these as a new base map. So here we give a new name. This is a satellite with outline, so the boundary, and we also save a base map with the topographic map in the background with the bark boundary, and save. So the last step of this tutorial is to export our map as an image. Therefore, we click on File, go to Export Map, and then we choose now here Map to Image, and here we have to change our export directory, so we browse again, see S.M.A.R.T, data repository, parks data, then we choose maps and say OK. In this case, we name it as management sectors. Then here we can change the format, so if it's a PNG, a TIFF or a JPEG, for me this is okay. Then export options, so preserve the bounds or preserve the scale. Here you can change the quality of the image. Here in this case we make it a bit higher, and we can also change the width and the height of the map, and we could also change the symbol map graphic scale factor. In this case we just click on finish, and now let's have a look on our map. So therefore we go back to our Explorer and we choose C, S.M.A.R.T, data repository, parks data, tutorial, maps. Then in here we're searching for the last file and can see now our management sectors. As you can see here, there's also a projection file, so you could import this in QGIS or other GIS software with the right projection. So just double click on management sector and let's have a look if the map is okay. Here we can see our management sectors, our blue outline for the conservation area boundary. So this is our exported map. This we could also make for our waypoints or our sample units for the wildlife or the habitat monitoring, that we have a map we can take with us into the field. So if you add the waypoints for the wildlife or the habitat classification, it would be nice to export it for the field. Also you can import other layers, so the classification and also just outlines for some shapefiles is also a good opportunity to have in your map. So now you're ready to make maps with a meaningful classification and also with meaningful labels, and you can also export your map to an image.